devil, and it typically happens when you have instability in the atmosphere and heat. Of course, the heat is coming from the volcano, and weaker winds in the crater are allowing for winds to be more variable, and often you'll get eddies, these vortices that start rotating, and the heat causing the air to rise in the rotating air causes those dust devils. Of course, we're tracking VOG outside going forward. Here's our exclusive VOG forecast across the state. You can see overall we're seeing the overall plume staying off to the west and southwest of Hawaii Island, really not seeing too much impacts over Maui County, Oahu, and Kauai. The Kona coast of Hawaii Island, South Point area, and areas just downwind of the Volcanoes National Park are going to be seeing continued VOG out there. And a quick look at our winds outside right now. You can see that it's a little bit breezy. We are seeing weaker winds over near Hawaii Island, which is one of the reasons, especially in the crater near Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, allowing for those dust devils, the tephra devils, to form, but much breezier conditions across the rest of the state. I'll give you a further breakdown of this in my full forecast coming up.
Thank you, Drew. Now to the latest on the Nanakuli wildfire, where firefighters are keeping a close eye for hot spots. HFD says the fire is 90% contained. The blaze broke out just after 5:30 Monday night above Lualualei Naval Road. No homes or other structures are being threatened. Meanwhile, the governor has signed new legislation to help fight wildfires. As Daryl Huff reports, one of the new assets is a person in charge of organizing the firefighting community.
This was more than just a day the governor signed 2 bills. This is a day for the local fire chiefs to get together and celebrate a lot of progress made in 23 months.
We've done things in a time frame that no other state has done.
This is a commitment for, I believe it's going to be decades, to be able to fulfill and make sure our communities are safe.
She's talking about the new office of the state fire marshal, which will be run by Dory Booth, who had a similar deputy role in Arizona and knows she has work ahead in Hawaii.
I think the greatest need here, is resourcing, because we are literally on islands, and the most geographically remote area in the world. So even having the federal partners and things that we're used to on the mainland, they can hop in a plane or be in a car, and a couple hours later, we don't have that here.
She's gotten off to a quick start at the Maili fire, observing the reaction of county, federal, and state agencies.
It was awesome to see everybody working so closely together, and without that collaboration, I think that fire could have easily gotten out of hand.
The fire made good use of a Hawaiian Electric system of cameras called Alert West, installed since the Lahaina disaster, providing strategically placed cameras that can be viewed from any device and manipulated by first responders.
What that does is that gives us real-time situational awareness, and then that gives us the ability to know what's taking place so that we can posture in front of it, whether it be evacuations, additional resources, or asking for help.
Fire Marshal Booth sees her main role as coordinating all those resources.
That is one of the things that have kind of been identified as there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of people doing great work, but they're in silos.
Also signed was the formal release of the state's $800 million portion of the $4 billion global settlement for fire victims, everyone from people who lost lives to businesses that lost profits.
Now the lawyers and judges will have to do their work, which is important work, and they will sort out all of the resources that go to people.
The settlement money should be going out over the next 2 years, but no one will know exactly how much they get until everyone who has a claim has applied. Reporting from the state capitol, Daryl Huff, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Daryl. In Washington, a man who killed his pregnant girlfriend from Hawaii Island will spend the rest of his life in prison. 36-year-old Richard Jacobson has been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for murdering Brandy Ibanez in 2022. Ibanez was from Ka'u but moved to the mainland where she met Jacobson. They shared 2 daughters. Now, an autopsy revealed Ibanez was pregnant when Richardson strangled her to death and tossed her body into the Columbia River in Washington. We spoke with her sister, who feels justice was finally served.
I kind of get my sister back. My family's never going to be the same. It's just a part of us that left us, and we cannot get back. It was just a relief that knowing he can't come out. Is knowing that he can never do this to anybody else.
Brandy's daughters, 14 and 12 years old, are now living on Hawaii Island with Brianne. If you or someone you know is suffering from domestic abuse, call Hawaii's Domestic Violence Action Center's confidential hotline. That's the number right there on your screen. 2 teenage boys were robbed at gunpoint by 2 men in ski masks at Makakilo District Park shortly after midnight. A 17-year-old boy and a 15-year-old boy were at the park when the 17-year-old went to use the bathroom. He was reportedly approached by 2 men, one who was armed, and demanded the victim's jewelry. Police say the suspects assaulted and pistol whipped him, then saw the 15-year-old nearby and chased him. He was able to get into a vehicle, but said one of the suspects fired a shot at the car before fleeing in a blue sedan. No injuries were reported. HPD has opened an armed robbery investigation. Anyone with tips is asked to call Crime Stoppers. And 2 preteen girls were arrested for burglary. The 11 and 12-year-olds are accused of breaking into this classroom at Pohakea Elementary School in Ewa Beach and leaving a mess last Thursday. The girls have since been released pending investigation. The Coco Crater Trail will remain closed until the city can seal off 3 access points at the summit. This after an 8-year-old boy was critically injured while hiking with his family. He fell down a shaft which was 20 to 40 feet. The nonprofit Coconut Coalition, which maintains the trail, believes the boy crawled through a 1-foot-high, 2-feet-wide, above-ground rectangular hole, which suddenly drops into a narrow shaft. That hole is now covered up with wood.
So I saw where he entered, and it's just a little rectangular hole that, you would have to crawl in, but it just drops off down into the darkness about 30, 40 feet. I felt emotional, just imagining what he went through and, what the parents felt, and just, falling into darkness.
Police were on site yesterday to warn hikers about the closure and were told they actually issued some tickets. At least 120 people are now confirmed dead in Texas after flash floods devastated central regions of the state. With about 160 still missing, that number is expected to continue to climb. Karen Hua reports from Kerr County.
Search teams combed through the grounds around Camp Mystic, where nearly 30 died. Near the wrecked cabins, the heartbreaking sight of girls' belongings are spread on the ground. Teams are drying and packing each item to return to the parents.
The devastation was the most horrific thing I've ever seen.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz visited the camp, including the bunk for the youngest girls.
The water blew out the windows in that cabin and swept all of the girls and the counselors out. Every girl in that cabin is either confirmed dead or missing.
Through miles of flood damage, bodies are still tangled in debris. Police are asking the public to stay out of the way.
Our first responders are trying to get to places to do their jobs. And people come in here from outside the community and people within the community who want to go sightsee and look at the river and see the flood damage. It's making our job very hard.
Most of the confirmed deaths are here in Kerr County, where officials are facing questions about their preparation for the flood and their response. That includes why a code red alert came too late.
Those questions are going to be answered. I believe those questions need to be answered to the family of the missed loved ones, to the public.
Some residents say they never got a warning.
I just hear off the distance that, there's water in the house, Daddy, there's water in the house.
Hundreds of volunteers have joined the search for the missing, combing through rubble and debris. Karen Hua, CBS News, Kerrville, Texas.
President Trump is putting more U.S. trading partners on notice. Today, he posted on social media letters to 6 more countries, warning them of tariff increases. Erica Brown has the details from the White House.
President Trump hosted a lunch with the leaders of West African nations at the White House Wednesday, where he discussed new potential trade opportunities with their countries, following steep cuts in U.S. aid to the region.
There's great economic potential in Africa. Like few other places in many ways. In the long run, this will be far more effective and sustainable and beneficial than anything else that we can be doing together.
Shortly before the meeting, Trump posted on social media letters to 6 additional countries, informing them of new tariffs ranging from 20 to 30% beginning August 1st.
We really haven't had too many complaints because I'm keeping them at a very low number, very conservative, as you would say, number. And we haven't had, I'm sure they will be complaining at certain points, but we haven't had complaints. We've been treated very unfairly by both friend and foe.
President Trump also said he is considering sending Patriot missiles to Ukraine for its fight against Russia. And he expressed optimism that a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas will be reached soon.
There's a very good chance that we'll have a settlement, an agreement of some kind this week, and maybe next week if not.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon Wednesday, where they discussed the U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear sites.
It was an honor to be a part of it. Appreciate your partnership.
I think everybody in the Middle East took note of American resolve and of the strength of our alliance.
Later, Netanyahu met with a bipartisan group of lawmakers on Capitol Hill. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
Ahead on This Is Now, a new affordable housing project is set to open this summer in Kilauea. Casey Lund gives us a look and tells us how much rent is. And speaking of housing, the city begins demolition on a long abandoned Waikiki apartment building for a new project. We'll take you there in 2 minutes. A new affordable housing development in Kilauea is offering units to local families this summer. Casey Lund has the details.
Aloha, we are outside. We have shown you inside, and we'll show you some images from inside again. But we wanted to talk about some of the amenities that are outside, and to do that, come on in here. Go ahead. This is a bicycle storage, and this is kind of cool. This is a really unique thing that I don't think I've seen. Robert Flanders is with us. He's maintenance for Halawa View Apartments, as well as Naulu. Tell me a little bit about this space. This is awesome.
Yeah, right here we have our one of two ample bike storages. This one's kind of cool. There's a little guide here with a whole bunch of community tools that are all tied up. So
you need to come fix your bike. You need to come get it some air.
Some air, QR code if you need to learn how to change your tire, anything like that. They're all right there.
Talk to me about parking in this building as well.
Oh, parking, man. We have a whole bunch of it. I think there's over 400 parking stalls.
Wow.
Handicap. We have some EV charging. We have a car share.
So
we have a
Tesla.
Yep. We have a Tesla for
that you can rent out.
Residents can rent it out for an hour, a couple hours a day. Come back, put it on the charger. No problem. A lot of laundry space. We have over 60.
A secure building.
Secure building.
Everything's fob access.
Yeah,
it's kind of like state of the art, but affordable housing.
Correct.
And I think the reason that we're showcasing all this stuff, which maybe you think like, oh, you know, whatever. But this is all about making people feel like they have a home that they can be proud of, and that's what it's all about. Because the idea, Pacific Development Group, of creating this is to make sure that people don't have to leave Hawaii. These families that want to stay here. We're looking at some of the images from inside. This is a really beautiful building.
Very beautiful building, and it's a beautiful community. You know, we have this brand new building, but we also have 3 existing buildings as well. You know, some see it as different properties, but we're all one community at the end of the day.
Yeah, you have the Halava View apartments, and you have those other low-rise right here that I think they're going to be adding to at some point. I'll let them kind of talk about that. I don't want to get you in trouble, but I know there's a lot of exciting stuff coming, including the new Aloha Stadium Entertainment District. There is the whole idea behind this is transit-oriented development, something that the city and county is really focusing on, having things right next to these big transit centers like the rail. There's a lot of excitement in this neighborhood.
Yeah, big time. And there's, like you said, city and county, there's a lot of talks of just getting bike paths down here on the riverside. So there's a lot of good things coming to this community in Halava. And like you said, keeping the families in Hawaii.
Yeah, and some of these beautiful murals, the 25-story mural by Kamea Hadar, that is the largest in the state, the 3rd largest in the country. He did it in 4 days. So they've put a lot of work into making this a beautiful place as well.
Yeah, the thing of beauty about this is it's so wonderful, and the bird is so special to Hawaii. And the wingspan is already so big, and that one's 6 stories tall.
Yeah,
so
it's
just super cool to come and drive in and see that. It's,
Robert Flanders, thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, thank you for
Maintenance
having me.
here at Naulu. Now, we want to make sure that we give you the details for income requirements. Of course, this is affordable housing development. So the 30 to 60% area median income, you have to meet those requirements, but talk to them. Put an application in and learn if you qualify. We have all the details online at hawaiinewsnow.com. For now, we'll send things into the studio.
Over in Waikiki, demolition begins at a long abandoned apartment building on Alawai Boulevard to make way for a new affordable housing project.
It's strange to say in a way, but this has been a long time coming. The building behind me was built in 1949. Today this building comes down, and I'm very, very happy because it paves the way for something really special.
Now, the city says it hopes to complete demolition in August, with construction beginning soon after. Officials say they are close to choosing a partner for the redevelopment phase. It's unknown at this time how many housing units the new project will provide.
And stick around, your first alert full forecast is coming up after the break. We're still tracking breezy trade winds out there and some midday rainfall. I'll give you the details on that coming up. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Of course, the past couple of days have been first alert weather days out there because of the strong winds and elevated fire danger threat, but we have dropped the first alert weather day today because the winds are weakening. We're also seeing some sunshine out there with some midday rainfall, and we're also still tracking the elevated leeward fire hazard, but with the weaker winds, we're not expecting it to be as much of a concern. Still, it is the dry season. We're watching that very closely going forward. You can see in our first alert windcast going into the rest of this afternoon between 15 to 20 miles per hour. Some areas might be a little bit stronger, especially over Maui County, where we see wind gusts getting closer to 25 to 30 miles per hour. Over on, this is for Thursday, we're going to be seeing a similar forecast, weaker winds out there compared to the beginning of this week, and a similar forecast as we're going into Saturday and Sunday. We've been showing you this over the past couple of days. This is the Keach-Byram Drought Index. Today we're at 572. Again, the number that the National Weather Service needs to start issuing those fire weather alerts and red flag warnings is 600. We're slowly watching that number creep up closer to that 600 threshold. A quick look at our first alert radar and satellite. We really are seeing a couple of showers moving in across the Kilauea over the last hour or so. A few of them been making their way into the central portions of the island. You can see this is over the last hour. You can actually see some of that rainfall moving in towards Kaneohe and falling apart after it makes its way over the Kilauea mountain range. Some windward showers moving over towards Kaunakakai. Hawaii Island's been relatively quiet over the last hour or so. Very interesting enough, right there over near Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, you are seeing some of the ash coming from Kilauea. You're being able to pick it up on radar, and of course it is breezy enough out there where we're seeing wind returns on the first alert radar and satellite. Our surf and shoreline forecast, north-facing shores around 0 to 2 feet, mostly flat. Seeing a small boost on south-facing shores for this afternoon. East-facing shores dropping out there because of the weaker winds. And here's your island-by-island forecast. Again, this is for Thursday over on Kauai. Of course, typical windward showers over on Oahu, windward and Mauka showers. Partly sunny, drier over leeward areas. Wind gusts closer to 20 miles per hour. A little bit windy over portions of Maui County. 88 in Kahului tomorrow, 87 in Kihei. Kailua Kona, 87. Scattered evening showers and foggy over there, especially with the trade winds blowing the fog away from Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Partly sunny over the Hilo side with weaker winds in the northern portions of Hawaii Island. We'll be seeing breezy conditions out there. Wind gusts closer to 25 miles per hour and above. Of course, here's your first alert 7-day forecast. Today still highlighted in red, a better chance for some showers as we're going into Thursday and Friday. And of course, we're still going to be warm going forward. High temperatures in the upper 80s.
Turning trash into treasured fun. I'm Tina Kraus at a recycled playground where eco-friendly fun is the name of the game.
right, everybody, let's end the show with some good news. Recycling just got a lot more fun at a one-of-a-kind playground.
Tina Kraus takes us to a place where waste is turned into an art-filled adventure.
2-year-old Jude has visited a lot of playgrounds, but this one speaks his language. Armed with a pool noodle and a big imagination, he's dialing into the joy of junk.
So yeah, it's kind of like just really opening your mind.
Designer Ruta Irbita helped create Replay, a recycled playground inside London's South Bank Centre, Europe's largest arts hub.
Everything here is from theatre, from films, from shoots, from fashion. These were scraps from a bag making company.
Old scraps turned into new toys.
We call them the caterpillars. These are the cores for medical bandaging.
Artist Sam Casely says the playful possibilities pair perfectly with protecting the planet.
We're saying here's some objects that used to be some fabric that was going to be made into a bag but now isn't, but you're going to turn it into a cloak for a king, or you're going to turn it into a den.
Or a tunnel like this, built from chairs at a celebrity wedding.
She's my silver snake.
And a slithery snake sewn from leftover lycra, filled with foam from old theater seats. Designers say the ideas are endless.
Kind of like seeing the world with new eyes almost, seeing potential in things that are deemed waste.
I think you might be creating little artists here as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Through giving children these abstract tools to build their own things, they have the potential to become artists.
Is it a snake? Kids like Jude, learning that sometimes the best way to clean up the world is to play in it. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
All right, and let's take one last look at Kilauea as we say goodbye. It's a lot smaller.
Yeah, a lot smaller, but
show.
still beautiful out there.
Always.
We're glad we got to see it today.
Thanks for watching, everybody.